Greetings, Guz here. Welcome back to Escape from Kerbin. Today we're going to work on a little bit of a satellite network. I'm showing you the Kerbin I-1 Mark I communication satellite we've designed, and it's going to be put up in a series with others in Kerbosynchronous orbit. And here is our Hercules lifter mounted with 3 Kerbin I-1s. Nothing too special to this rocket. It's kind of a little bit lower thrust to weight ratio than it should have, but it should do. Should get us out there. And, yeah, the communication satellites have an array of things to be able to communicate, keep the infrastructure going. And here we are at liftoff, up into the great beyond. Well, just beyond Kerbin, anyway. So yeah, one of the huge facets of our objective to escape from Kerbin and create a livable space infrastructure is to have effective communications and logistics in space. So we're going to need a set of relay line of sights communication satellites to be able to do that. So here we are, another standard launch. Here you'll the theme for this mission, though, however, is going to be setbacks. And they start with the low thrust to weight ratio of this rocket. It's not a big deal. We're doing fine. We're chugging along just fine. It's just a sign. It's an omen for what will come. Much in the way that this was a night mission. And, of course, night missions are always sort of harder to see. But I'm also playing a career mode, so I didn't want to just skip forward time. I figured, well, we can do a night launch. Let's do it. So here we are. I'm doing a much longer ascent profile. It's taking me longer to get up there because I want to get my vertical velocity higher as we try to get into space. And it proves very effective. We really get up there and get our speed going, and we're able to start pushing out pretty quick. In fact, we haven't left the atmosphere yet. We're still a little bit in the tendrils of the atmosphere of Kerbin, and we're pushing out quite far. Quite far. Look at that. Almost halfway to our first apo or periapsis. So almost up to our first point. So we've made it into space, and you'll notice we don't have any science. This is a pure. I didn't take any contracts or anything on this mission. Wish I probably should have, in hindsight, especially. But here we are. And yeah, we're just getting ready to push out, and I've extended the solar panel on the carriage to get us ready. And you can see remote tech working there with our omnidirectional communications. And we just broke line of sight, so we now have radio silent with KSC. No big deal though. We have Bob Kerbin. It's in Bob Kerbin's able hands, and we're getting ready to. We're getting ready to come around the side of the planet. Get out of this darkness. We want to see a beautiful sunrise. We're just gonna warp up here, and I really wanted to just get a nice, beautiful cinematic shot because I love when it does this. Beautiful. That's awesome. And yeah, sacrificing the beauty of Kerbin for the beauty of space, essentially, and other bodies, in case we have to go. So we have to learn to appreciate this. It's in these moments I realize, even with my solar panel extended, I don't have power. So now I'm frantically searching, and this is sped up, but I'm frantically searching, trying to figure out, okay, what's the issue? I don't know what the issue is. Let's extend all of our panels and see if we can get some power, because that is going to be an issue. Thankfully, we have time on the way out, and I finally figure out that the comms dishes were all on from the start. Setbacks. But, okay, that's fine. That's completely manageable. All the solar panels are extended. We're getting our power back pretty fast, and the comms dishes are turned off. Not a big deal. We don't need them on. They shouldn't have been on at the start. That was probably my mistake. But no big deal. So, we're about halfway to our current apoapsis. where we'll project our orbit up to a nearly Kirby synchronous orbit to rotate with the planet, and we'll go a little bit below that just to we'll go a little bit below that just to be able to round the planet to the position we want and then deploy our first satellite. So we're speeding up here, and I'm using that time warp quite well. And once we're at the point, I start to lift our periapsis. And it actually turned out to be a cool little craft. It looks really neat with the satellites on the sides there. I really like the the tri configuration, and I wanted to start with 3 satellites because it was a little much. Then you'll notice I burn way further than I was supposed to. And then I realize I shouldn't have been burning out to a circularized orbit anyway. And I need to waste more fuel fixing this and going lower so that I can rotate faster than the planet and get in position to deploy my first satellite over KSC. In Kirby Synchronous Orbit with KSC. So we always have a comm satellite right above KSC. A relay from KSC to that satellite to whatever else we have out here. So setbacks, using more fuel than I needed, but okay, fine. And silly, you know, but it's a mistake, and these things happen. And we have enough fuel, not a big deal. So here we are, just bringing this down because we want to be able to get over to it, over to the position we want rather fast, and we also want to get over there at the right time. We don't want to miss it, so we are just speeding up a little bit. And I'm pretty much just going around and around just to try to get the perfect spot. And here I notice, hey, I'm actually coming up on it. All right, great. So now I know we're going to start being more in line. And hey, all right, comms issues online. Everything looking great. And we're getting ready to deploy it. We don't want to deploy it here. We want to get to our circularized orbit, and we'll pretty much stay in line with it. What the heck? And then this dread fills me that the main comm dish on the satellite isn't deployed. What was giving it to me was my omnidirectional, and now I only have the one big comm dish to point at it. Meaning, I don't have satellite equipment, I don't have comms equipment on these satellites that's good enough to reach all the other satellites. Only the big dish can, and it needs a two-way connection if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm not as great with remote tech, but here I've realized this mission's pretty much a waste. And I have royally screwed up and invested a lot of money. So now in desperation I've decided, hey, let's deploy one satellite. We'll chalk this up as an experiment. A very expensive experiment. And we're gonna set the comms dish to mission control, and there you are. Anything that comes within 2,500 kilometers of that satellite should get omnidirectional communication, but it won't be enough to deploy the other satellites in the configuration. And at this point, for me, my best thought is deploy the satellite, get everything activated, deploy the satellite, make sure there's connection, so we at least have something up here, and we can report back to the media that we have deployed a satellite and that we've recovered the others for further analysis and development. Try to get something out of here, because we're way beyond. We're just trying to not have total mission failure at this point. And I'm also thinking, how in the world am I going to get all these other things back? Here's the deployment of the satellite, and it looks great, just kind of floating off by itself. I check its resources, though, and I didn't have the rocket not siphon fuel from the satellite's fuel tanks, so it's been taking from them the whole time, which means this one doesn't have the fuel. Had I known, I could have transferred some back. But now if it needs to do its own positioning, it pretty much cannot. So, setbacks. Yeah, I just. However, it still looks great. The satellite looks awesome out here, and I have to relish at least a little bit of what's great. So here we are, and now we're going to get ready for a return. However, now that that satellite is deployed, my center of mass has shifted. It is not in line with my center of thrust, and I can't accelerate properly at high speeds. But I finally managed it, and that cut there was about 10-15 minutes of me lightly thrusting to try to get it, and then I do it some more to try to get down. And I'm just trying to get back to Kerbin. I'm just getting my fastest possible trajectory back to Kerbin. And I'm thinking, like this, I'll be able to lane close to Kerbin, come down soft, and hopefully, with those things elevated as they are and on the on those trusses, that I will be able to save them upon landing. I have some fuel. I have a chute. The chute isn't rated for this landing. I expected to only be coming back in a capsule, but we have to salvage these, so here we are re-entering. Let's take our parts of the atmosphere at great speed. I mean, 2,600 meters per second. We're hauling. And, yeah. But the problem is my descent trajectory is pretty frickin' steep. And I didn't account for the fact that it being so steep that we wouldn't get nearly as far as we're going to. I expected we wouldn't go too far, but we're not getting anywhere near where I want us to get. Optimally, we want to land as near to KSP as possible. You know, within a few hundred kilometers would be fantastic. I'll take anything. You know, anything to save on the percentage of parts that I'm going to get back. Here, I'm just checking the craft. And I am on the opposite side of where I want to be. Complete opposite descent trajectory necessary. Wow. Setbacks. So even if I salvage these, the amount I'm going to get for it is going to be low. Here we are coming out of re-entry. And we're really getting to the thick soup, but we're slowing down a lot. So the frictional effects are coming down, and we're approaching our descent. As we're doing that, we deploy the parachute to get a little bit of drag force between us and the ground, and we're slowing down because of it in the soup. We have some fuel left, so our descent, we have a little bit of a safety net. We can use it to try and slow us down. But we have to be extremely careful. We have to be super careful. If we're not, we'll overtake our parachute, and we will plummet. So we need to be waiting to the last minute, last seconds, to really burn it off. And even then, be really careful, because again, if we do it too far, we're doomed. So we're coming in for a water landing. Hopefully this is going to be soft. 15 meters per second is not good enough. At least we're not flipping upside down capsule first. Thank God. So here we are trying to slow our descent, and it's not slowing very fast, but I'm trying to be ever so careful. So I'm just letting it overtake it. We have the fuel to burn it, so screw it. Let's do it. 10 meters per second. Coming down to 9, coming down to 40 meters. Less than 40 meters, less than 20 meters. 7, 6, we should be good. Soft landing. Oh no! And miraculously, the body of the craft is sacrificed, and it maintains the satellites. All the parts of the satellites look good. However, we're only getting about 27% of their post-mission worth. So looking back, we did recover the satellites, both of them. KE-1 probe ×2 there. We're going to recover them. A little bit of science gained just from landing in the ocean. I picked it up, and from recovering the craft. Parts value, yay, but 28%. We got them back, but the cost of recovering them made it barely worth it. I mean, it's better than 0. So we recover our second satellite. And then we just want to verify, yeah, we got all the parts, everything looks great. So we did get it back. The mission is complete. Final portion of the mission, let's check our Kerbin I-1 that it is in space. And it looks good. It's there. It's fine. And I mean, it's there. I can fly it. I have signal. Boom. It is there. So, not the mission we wanted, not the results we wanted. And it happens. I'm playing in an Iron Man mode, and this is what I signed up for. So, a lot of setbacks. That mission cost me a lot of money. And we're going to completely redesign our Kerbin I-1. But, that's part of the learning experience. You don't do these things. Failures only teach you. So, that's what we're going to take this as. A learning lesson, and a little bit of learning lesson for remote tech. Boy. Well, thanks for hanging in there, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Take care.